Dark secrets the 7-Eleven franchise does not want you to know, and top 8 reasons why you may not want to own a 7-Eleven. We're also going to look at how much a 7-Eleven franchise owner makes, how much the franchise costs, and a lot more today on Franchise City. Entrepreneur Franchise 500 has 7-Eleven franchise listed as their number 9 top franchise, which is hilarious. But why would you not want to own a 7-Eleven? Let's start off with the fact that 9 out of 10 7-Eleven franchise owners say that just running their store has negatively impacted their health. Now, how bad does a business have to be to say that it's ruining your health? But why, though, is it ruining their health? Well, the National Coalition survey of 7-Eleven franchises covered issues facing their businesses. 82% of those people cited staffing. 87% said their job is more difficult than it was 5 years ago, and the majority of 7-Eleven owners agreed with the statement, "The effect of running my 7-Eleven business has negatively impacted my physical health, mental health, and or family well-being." 7-Eleven is going to tell you how great their proprietary hiring tool, which is called HireRight, is, and that it makes it very easy for franchisees to hire. Yet the recent survey of 7-Eleven owners indicated 98% of franchisees that are using the tool still had people ditching interviews, and 95% say that they're having to personally work more shifts, including overnight shifts, more than usual. Many states are raising the minimum wage, and because franchisees have to pay up to 59% of their gross profit to corporate, more on that in a moment, and because they're required to open 24/7, these payroll increases in many cases cannot be covered by the franchisees. A statement from 7-Eleven Franchisees Coalition lawyer Eric Karp states, "There are few options available to 7-Eleven franchisees who will be burdened by rising labor costs. Either they're going to have to work more hours themselves or lean heavily on their families to work in their stores. We fear the burden is going to force many 7-Eleven operators to give back the keys and lose their business." This is another example of the 7-Eleven Corporation's culture of naked self-interest. We've asked many times for the company to sit down at the bargaining table for a good faith and mutually respectful discussion about how to amend the terms of the franchise agreement to provide relief for franchisees who, because of their onerous terms of the contract, face a fragile future. Number 3 reason you may not want to own a 7-Eleven is micromanagement. Now, have you ever walked into a 7-Eleven store and it might be a little too hot, or maybe it's too cold? Well, don't blame the store owner, because they don't even have the authority to change the temperature in their own store. All stores' temperatures are literally controlled by 7-Eleven corporate office in Dallas, Texas. So not only does corporate make decisions on your inventory, your hours, the products you sell, the pricing on gas and food and goods, but they also control your body temperature. Number 4, the 7-Eleven franchise contract is allegedly so one-sided and deceptive, the coalition has asked the Federal Trade Commission to make changes to the franchise rule, which they claim has led to misleading disclosures, undisclosed risk, built-in conflicts of interest, and opportunistic behavior. Again, from Eric Karp, the lawyer for the coalition, speaking about the 7-Eleven contract. He says, "I've never, in my 35 years, seen a more opaque, top-down, my way or the highway franchise system." Number 5, let's get into those low earnings right now. So you're going to pay 7-Eleven corporate a minimum just under 50% of your gross profits, and that amount goes up the more money that you make. Now, many franchises, they actually reward you. The more you make, the less you pay in royalties, and they typically have a single-digit royalty of around 7%. Now, 7-Eleven starts at 48%, going up all the way to 59% of your gross profit. Now, how much does an owner make from all that? Now, of course, it varies depending on the location, your store, and a number of other factors. But Jazz Dillon, who owns a very busy location in California since the 1990s, has sales of over $2 million per year. Jazz and his wife both work the store, and their after-expenses profit for the business is $25,000. Now, if you ever wonder why you see a lot of owners working in their 7-Eleven stores, now you know why. Now, if you want to renew your contract with 7-Eleven after it expires, it's going to cost you $50,000. And if you don't pay, 7-Eleven gets to sell your store again. Number 6, there's very little corporate investment in the stores. And let's be perfectly honest, 7-Eleven stores, they've looked the same forever, right? Many stores, they look run down, they look tired, they have not been updated. Now, since 2006, 7-Eleven parent company has spent $28.3 billion in 39 separate business acquisitions, while investing very little in many of their existing franchise stores. 60% of owners said it had been more than a decade since their store received a physical upgrade worth at least $10,000. Number 7 is a conflict of interest. So 7-Eleven, as we've just mentioned, they've been investing billions of dollars in gas. That included buying Speedway for $21 billion. And the company makes great margins on fuel. It's no secret. Now, as noted previously, 7-Eleven controls pretty much everything, including the gas prices at the store level. Now, corporate allegedly keeps prices higher locally than surrounding fuel stations. And I'd be interested in hearing from you in the comments if your 7-Eleven is higher priced on fuel than other local stations. So 7-Eleven, in this situation, they make more money, but store owners, because their gas is more expensive, get far fewer people who come into the store to buy merchandise, and that's their main profit center. 7-Eleven franchisees, they only get 1.5 cents per gallon of gas. So they feel that corporate is fighting against them with this focus on fuel. And number 7 reason, this. 7-Eleven stores being open 24 hours a day. Let's face it, you're going to attract some interesting people. Now, if you are personally forced to work the night shifts, usually considered the bad shifts, see the staffing issues we just covered above, are you prepared to deal with this type of scenario? Now, those two guys in that video, they handled themselves pretty well. But what if those people were armed? It certainly could have gone a lot worse. And it's likely you're going to see things like this if you're working in your store. Now, when asked if it were possible to sell their stores and salvage their investment, 71% of owners interviewed said yes, they would if they could. 80% said the equity in their 7-Eleven store was lower today than it was 2 years ago. 7-Eleven, arguably, they've got some of the worst franchisee relations in the industry, yet the Franchise 500 places them in the top 10 of opportunities. Why those lists are completely useless, we made a video, that link's above. What are the most profitable franchise industries? That link is down below. Thank you very much for watching.
You are listening to Franchise City, a better way to buy franchise.